Hello, my name is Kelly Pbn. I am a certified Zentangle teacher. Welcome to day 23 of Inktober. Today's tangle is called Alitos, and I have linked the name of the tangle and the creator in the title. I feel like I'm going to pronounce her name wrong, so I'm not even going to try. So today is day 23, and I'm using my pre-printed calendar just on regular copy paper. You can find this calendar on my Facebook page called Let's Tangle. And then I just added in an extra line so that I could write down the name of the tangle. I'm starting with a Micron 01 pen, and then I'm going to be moving to a mixed media paper that's a little bit thicker, and I will be using a thicker pen to compile all 31 tangles of Inktober together. Okay, so for Alitos, we start with a rectangular or a square, kind of a boulder shape. So make this little elongated, rounded shape like that. And then we make another one. And then maybe I'll do another one coming out here. And then off of that first one, we're going to make some pointy edges that are kind of thin. So just sort of varying the height and width of those like that. And we do the same thing over here. I like to start with mine connecting. And these can be a little bit pointy, or they can be a little bit flat on the edge. And then we ink those in. And it gives this dramatic tangle. Takes me a little while to ink in. Okay. Can do it better later. But you get this kind of a flowing, I'm going to go ahead and put the line on the top. Kind of this flowing feeling. And this one I'm going to do the same way, except that if you wanted to, you could ink in the opposite side. So that is the essence of Alitos, and it can be done as a border. It can be done in a grid pattern where you make all of your boxes first. Isn't that kind of pretty? I like that one. All right, that is Alitos. So we're going to switch over to my larger paper. I'm going to zoom out so you can take a peek at what I've got going on so far. Okay, so this is my compilation. It's on a thicker watercolor type paper, and I'm using a Micron Pbn plastic nib pen for this. It shows up a little bit darker. I've got a little bit more control over it, and I like it on this thicker paper. Right, I try to zoom in. So I need to find a spot for Alitos, and I'm kind of drawn to putting it on the border, but I also think that's a little bit too, not simple, but I don't know. I feel like I kind of want to stick it in the middle somewhere to challenge myself. So let's see, I'm going to turn my paper. I'm going to put it right here. I probably didn't need to turn the paper for that, but okay. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to stick it in here because I need to fill in that space anyway. So when you are kind of just putting tangles near other ones, you need to imagine that go behind where it's going to tuck in behind existing tangles. So I'm going to start with This pen doesn't work. Let's pick another one. All right. I'm going to start with that rectangular shape. I'm going to add another one. And I'm just kind of curving these in here. Like that. I am going to connect them. For some reason that helps my brain figure out the shape of those. Okay, so this is my first little boulder. So now in here, I start this method of putting in some lines. And then I fill them in. I feel like this part of my paper doesn't have a lot of black ink, so I like that I'm adding a little bit more drama over here. So I'm going to skip this one, and I'm going to do this one. And be purposeful. I mean, it's random, but don't rush. Okay. Maybe not purposeful, but intentional. Focus on each line you're making, and even when you're filling in, remember to breathe. Enjoy that process. I'm going to skip this one and go to this one. I'm going to start at the bottom just because that's the part I can see. And imagining that going behind a previous tangle. There we go. I'm going to outline this, just auraing it, putting a little line on the outside. I feel like auras just kind of hug the tangle and put it in place. So I'm going to do that. I have this empty space right here, and I'm just going to show you how I fill in areas. So on this large piece, I'm using orbs and auras and filling in. Those are my three things. So I'm going to put a couple of orbs in here. There's one. There's one. Maybe even one right here. And then auraing, I can aura this shape here if I want, some of Lollywimple. So I'm just going to follow that Lollywimple like that. See how just adding that line has filled in this area? I also could have done an aura around the orbs. And then this orb over here is just kind of sitting all by himself. I'm going to ink in the leftover areas. And look at how all of a sudden that is just all tucked in there. Okay, so I wanted to play around with this a little bit. I don't have much time left on my video, but I liked the idea of, well, first of all, as a grid, it would be a beautiful grid. And inside of these little boxes, you can always decorate inside those by adding a square spiral or some other striping. And one thing that some people do is do a little bit of shading, as if that's a little bit of a like a boulder or a rock that's got some dimension to it. Okay. And I think if I was shading these parts, I would put them, I'm not going to put graphite over here because it's too thick already with the black, but I will put it on the end where the white is, and that just adds some depth to those. Okay, so I wanted to do one thing and play around a little bit. So this reminds me of like sun rays. So I had this idea to do a small circle or an orb, and then add an outer one, And then start putting in those little zigzaggy lines. Remembering to touch the edge and even touch down at that orb sometimes. Like that. And then two options. One is you can ink in the outside or you could ink in the inside. I'm going to go ahead and do the inside. But it kind of gives this sunshine look or a splatter. But using that same idea that you have a line or a square or a circle or a triangle or anything, and you put these inked in lines on the outside. That looks kind of cool. And then for the outside of this, let me see, I think I'm just going to aura it. And I'm going to add an orb here to tuck in and fill in some space. And then to shade this one, I'm actually going to go on that outer circle, but on the inside of it. And every time I have a tangle overlapping, I try to add some graphite there, so it looks like I'm tucking in behind. And softening that, pulling it towards the middle, but leaving the middle nice and white. Just like that. So that is Alitos. Have fun playing with it. Can't wait to see what you do. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.